Welcome to Between the Sheets, the non-judgmental podcast where we're going to cover various sexual health and wellness topics. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Zwonitzer. I'm a urology and sexual health nurse practitioner, and I love helping my patients and listeners discover and develop their most satisfying sexual experiences. Between the Sheets is here to normalize the conversations about sexual health and cover everything from basic anatomy to the most taboo topics and everything in between. Real talk, real pleasure, one episode at a time. So come on, let's get between the sheets. This episode is sponsored by Boston Scientific and its educational website on erectile dysfunction, edcure.com. One study estimated that more than 50% of men over the age of 40 have some degree of erectile dysfunction, which can be frustrating and confusing. Go to edcure.com to find information on erectile dysfunction and treatment options, including long-term treatment options offered by Boston Scientific. Boston Scientific does not endorse any statements or opinions expressed during this episode. Welcome back to Between the Sheets. We are going to have some fun today. We have Athena Gayle here today. She is a sex copywriter, and she is also just super involved in the sexual health community and does lots of different things with different companies. Aria is one of the ones she's working with recently. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. We're going to touch on a bunch of different little topics today. Welcome, Athena. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to talk about all things sex.
Yes, yes. So tell me, how did you get into sex copyright? Because let's face it, you didn't go to English class and say, I'm going to go and write about sex stuff.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't. Although I don't know if my English teacher would have been surprised. Honestly, I don't know if anybody in my life would have been surprised if I said, "Hey, I'm gonna write about sex." I
Yeah.
think for like my 17th birthday, my sister gifted me the sexy book of sexy sex. So if that's any indicator of
Yeah.
where I was going.
I love it.
So I had a bit of a career shift. My
Okay.
background is in criminology.
Oh,
And
interesting.
of course, during the beginning of COVID, while everyone else was soul searching on what do we really want to do with our lives, I took a copywriting course just,
Okay.
on the side, just to do something. I'd
Yeah.
always loved writing and I had always loved erotica and
Yeah.
all the fantasy and, of course, sexy stuff. And part of this copywriting course was I had to actually pick a niche. So this was one where it was like, you need to pick something to focus on. And
Yeah.
so instantly I was like, what could I write about every single day and not get bored? And sex was the only answer. I mean, that made
I
sense
love that. I love that. It's
in
so
my brain.
important.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember asking my mentor and like everyone else in my cohort and then previous alum, is anybody doing sex? Because they're like, seek out people who are in the
Hmm.
space, who are writing in your space, see what they're doing, try to connect. And I couldn't find anybody that was just focused on sex with copywriting. I had met some ecom who like maybe
Okay.
did a sex toy product every so often, some
Hmm.
erotica more writers who did more fantasy. I did get to connect with an amazing woman out of Australia. Her name is Rose,
Okay.
and she was a sex writer, copywriter,
Okay.
but she focused more on sex workers
Okay.
and was less involved in like sex brands. And so I started building this persona on LinkedIn as the sex copywriter. I was like, well, if nobody's taking it, I'm going to take it
Yeah.
and it'll be mine. And I initially really wanted to work with like kink and lifestyle. I've been in the lifestyle for like the last 15 years and
Good for
not to
you.
date myself too much.
Right.
But,
Right.
and so I was like, I want to help like kink and I wanted to work with lifestyle brands. And
Hmm.
of course, once you get into the space, those folks are really just trying to peddle their wares and their homemade floggers and like they cannot pay for like a blogger who's gonna
Right.
like write articles for them.
Right.
And so I started exploring the sex space a lot more and started learning about sex tech
Hmm.
and sex tech school with Brian Nicole and connecting with Cindy Gallup, who does Make Love Not Porn, and really getting more involved in sexual wellness. And
Yeah.
I just kind of started writing on my own. So LinkedIn and I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. I think we all do when we're in the sexual health world with any
Yes,
social media.
yes.
Actually,
So
LinkedIn is like the best out of the social medias is not getting angry at me.
typically LinkedIn. I will say currently, I am kicked off LinkedIn.
I was wondering because I tried to find your profile before this to make sure I had all your ducks in a row for me, but nope, it wasn't there.
It's They always pick the perfect time to kick me off. The last
Yeah.
time was, I think, April, and I had, like, a rather big article coming out in Goop, and I was like, "Oh, please don't shut me down." So they shut me down again, so I had to reach out, through back channels to try to get myself back in, so I'm working on
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I basically built my whole career on LinkedIn because it
Okay.
was the only space that I could really talk about it,
Mhm.
without the algorithms of like Meta and Instagram.
Mhm.
And so I just started writing articles on my own, and I did these things, I call them like lube stories,
Okay.
where I would pick a lube and I would write like a funny little short story about if that lube was like a person, like what sort of persona they would have.
That's
And then
great.
I would just tag the company and be like, "See me."
Yeah.
And after, I would say, like, a good year of me just kinda messing around,
Yeah.
I got contacted by a wonderful human being by the name of Emma Bing, and her mom wrote What to Expect When You're Expecting,
Uh-huh.
and she was starting a female sexual empowerment platform called Feel
Mm.
Collective, and she was like, "We want you, I love your writing, we want you to write articles for us." And I was like,
Cool.
"As me?" As a copywriter,
Right.
you're a ghostwriter, nobody knows
Right.
you exist. And she's like, "No, you, like, we want you." And I was like, "Cool." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Whatever you wanna write about, it's up to you, but we're like kink for moms next door." Like, she wanted kink and, like, typically taboo topics to be
Mhm.
really friendly, like mom next door talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I've got this." That's
Yeah.
basically my life.
I love
And
that.
so I just started just off the cuff writing articles for them, and the one that ended up kind of launching me into several other clients and career paths was one I wrote about erotic spanking. And
Mm.
so I had written this little, like, ditty about an archaeologist finding the whipping cave. So there's an ancient cave with, like, whipping drawings, and, like,
I love
people are
it.
having a great time
Yeah.
in these drawings. And, like, what that must have felt like for this 1950s, like, white cisgender guy who's like,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute,
Right.
what is going on?"
This
And
is
then I
not what my
walked
church taught me about sex.
right? "Wait a minute, I thought only the weirdos did this." Nope,
Mhm.
everybody does this, and we've been doing it
Mhm.
forever, and we love it.
Yep.
And so I, like, went through the techniques, I did, like, a little map of slap, how to talk to your partner about erotic spanking, conversation starters, and then kind of a flow and different tools. So one thing we like to call in the space are like pervertibles. So those are
Mhm.
things around your home that you can turn into sexy
Yep.
toys. So,
Yes.
grab yourself a spatula or a wooden spoon or a
Mhm.
hairbrush, and like you have a whole, a bunch of implements for
Yeah. I love
and
that.
so that caught the attention of one of the founders of Aria
Mhm.
on LinkedIn. And then so I got with them, and I just kept doing what I was doing on LinkedIn, and it really just brought in more and more attention. And then through my endeavors, I found that I really loved email marketing. So then I
Mm.
I kind of pivoted and did a whole mentorship with a really well-known email copywriter
Okay.
named Chris Orzi, and I learned how to do email marketing from, like, the ground up, how to do platforms and builds and all the automations and the flows.
Yeah.
So then I niched down even further and was like, "I will do email email marketing for sex space only."
That's
And
great. I love
I
it.
found that the more I narrowed, like, the more opportunities came, and then it honestly just kinda took off. I had
Yeah.
never expected it. Honestly, if you would have told me 6 years ago that this would be my life, I would have been shook, honestly.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's it.
awesome.
That's it in a nutshell.
I
That was a
love
lot.
it. I love it. No, but it's so good because it really goes to show anyone that is getting into a new line of business that you just got to do the grind. It
You
just
do.
takes time and work there. But I love that you have been able to focus so much in the sexual health and wellness community. I think the lifestyle community is fabulous. I love how communicative everyone is
Yeah,
and, very good at setting boundaries and staying within them, very good at exploring, very good at aftercare and conversing about all of these things. And a lot
consent,
of
so
yes,
much.
consent. Yes, 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 yes. And I think more traditional relationships really could benefit from some of the things that happen in the lifestyle that
Oh,
don't
yeah.
happen in traditional relationships or non-lifestyle couples.
I
So I love that you're involved in that as well.
I completely agree. For me, one of the biggest, I think, things that people who aren't in the lifestyle are missing out on is aftercare. Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you wanna tell your partner exactly how you wanna be taken care of or find out how they wanna be taken
Yeah.
care of? So we're not just left guessing.
Right.
Maybe someone hops in the shower and then you kinda roll over, you get a
Yep.
snack, you turn back to your phone, and it's very kind of just abrupt
Yes.
and maybe a little lonely. And what I love about aftercare is, like, for instance, my partner knows I really like ice cream after.
Mm.
So we do the cleanup, we double check, make sure we're all good, and then he
Yep.
goes and grabs the ice cream and 2 spoons, and then we get to just watch like a TV show together, and like that's
Yeah.
my comfort.
I
And
love that.
honestly, any relationship I had previous would never nobody would have ever
Yep.
asked me,
Yep.
"Do you want a snack or is there anything that
Right.
you're good?"
Yeah,
That's
and I think aftercare is so great too because
yes.
if you are exploring new things together, you can say, "Hey, I liked being spanked, but that got a little too hard and too intense."
Yes.
Or, "I really actually didn't like it and I thought I would, but I can't do it again." Or whatever the issue might be, and it gives you that opportunity to say yes, no, yes, but, no, but,
Mhm.
some of those things that if you just end and move on, you might forget to say, or you might not remember exactly what that felt like in that moment to say harder, softer, further, deeper, less, whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think it's so important.
Yes, and if your partner if you were having a great time throughout, they're gonna wanna replicate that every single time
Correct.
because they thought you were having a great time, and not
Right.
saying that you weren't the whole time, but if there were, like in particular for myself, I have a certain side that's just more sensitive than the other. I
Mhm.
don't have nerve endings, and
Yeah.
I've been able to communicate, "Left side, do whatever. Right side, be a little more gentle. Be
Yeah.
gentle with that right side."
Yeah.
And
Yes.
again, I just would not have you wouldn't think to so definitely giving the space to
Yeah.
have those conversations.
Absolutely. And I love what you mentioned about pervertibles because that is one of my favorite things also. Like, just
Right.
go and pick something. And like, I love the idea of like timing it. Like, okay, we're going to explore tonight. Each of us
Mhm.
gets 5 minutes, run through the house and pick out 3 to 5 things that you want to try tonight. Whether it's the spatula wooden spoon or, a cold metal ice cream scoop because that has
Yeah,
different textures and feelings and cold and hot and things like that. And just see because then you haven't spent all this money on it yet you
yep,
haven't figured out whether or not you like it. It gives that time and then the aftercare to talk about it. Like, it's just so important and so
yes.
fun. I love the pervertibles idea.
One pervertible that I had recommended a couple of years ago, and it just hit really well with people, was a clean makeup brush, like a
Oh,
blush brush.
uh-huh.
People love that soft, feathery, like, feeling.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorites, and then finally, because of course, you always you're racking your brain, you're recommending, you're like, "What can I do?" Walking around your house, what
Yeah.
and some stuff you don't always try for yourself, like, the very end, so I was like, "Maybe this was a brilliant idea," and I pulled out my makeup brush, and I was like, "This was a great idea." This feels
Yeah.
amazing. Or walking
Absolutely.
around, like, a hardware store, that's one of my
Yep.
favorite things to do,
Yep.
is,
Or even
like,
the
walking
dollar
around
store.
a
Again,
dollar.
not a big investment, but they've got tons of different stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that is super fun. I love that idea. So, talk to me about I know you said you got involved with the company area.
Aria?
Talk to me about that.
Oh, yeah. So Aria, for anybody that has not seen the ads, which you may or may not have, it's an intimacy app for couples.
Mhm.
And so you and your partner, or just if your partner doesn't want to join, sign up. And you're kind of gone through this like research backed flow where you put in where you're at in your relationship, why you wanna join Aria. So generally it's, we have an amazing sex life, we just wanna spice things up,
Mhm.
or we have disconnected a teeny bit, we're just kinda like, fine, like, sex is good, but, like, we really need to find ourselves again. So those are the
Mhm.
people who maybe have been married long term or have had some young children and things are
Yeah.
just
Kind of in
kinda
a
taking
rut.
a step back. And then you have the couples who are like, "We really just need to learn how to communicate better." Like, we're really here for connection and intimacy and communication. And so
Mhm.
those are generally our, like, 3 pillars of people of why they join. And so then you're matched with a concierge, so you actually have an almost 24/7 person,
Hmm.
real person who will message you and give you guidance and will be there for you as like an intimacy coach. And so each month you get a different themed experience. And so you can have anything from like temperature play to restraint play to anal play, to just, intimacy, playful intimacy.
Yeah.
And so for that month, you are sent different like conversation prompts, playlists, guides, videos. We have experts who come in and we'll chat. And then you get a little collection of items actually delivered to you to bring that
Fun.
scene to life. So we actually use the lifestyle term scene,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so it's delivered and it gets brought to life. And so that's kind of Aria in a nutshell. And so when I was brought on, when I first started with them 3 years ago, I was one of, like, 7 total. It was very startup.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
very scrappy. It was amazing. They flew me to New York, and it was an amazing time, and I was brought on to basically be their scene writer. So I did
Okay.
all the guidance for couples from start to finish. Everything that a couple received content-wise was coming from my brain. And it was so much. So one thing I didn't realize, the erotic spanking article, the cadence, I had written it. I had unknowingly basically written the cadence of an aria scene.
Okay.
And so they're like, "Do that. Do exactly that, but, like, bigger."
Yeah.
And so I started, like, revamping some of the scenes that they had, and then ideating with our little tiny content team that we had at the time to just keep going and keep going. And I think when we started, we had maybe 6 or 7 scenes total, and now we're up to like 24.
Wow, that's
And of course
amazing.
and of course the team is bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger, which is a lot of fun, and I've been able to actually kind of flow into some different roles. So anybody who's ever worked in a startup, or maybe those who don't know what it's like working in a
Yeah.
startup, you wear so many hats. Like,
Yeah.
there's literally no, "I don't know how to do this," or "I've never done this," or like, "That's not my role," because literally everybody
Yeah.
has to do everything at all times. And so I was not just like scene writing, I was scene building. I was putting together the spicy playlists that everybody was getting every month, or I was working on the email newsletters, or I was sending just an odd email out about products. And so as my role kind of shifted and changed and we grew, now I head our product sourcing and
Mhm.
discovery. And so I'm actually their main product tester.
Okay. I was gonna say, I see a whole bunch of boxes behind you, so I know you have product over there.
I have I have more product than anybody could ever need in their whole life.
Dang, I
My
need to get on this payroll.
My husband has been an amazing product testing
Yeah.
partner. So we have been because we're kind of the market for Aria. We've
Sure.
been we've been together for almost 9 years. We've been married 6 years. We have a 10-year-old at home, and so we're kind of like the demographic.
Yeah.
And and I had a partner that was just willing to test sex toys with me constantly. Sounds amazing, but it can be a little like, sometimes we get ordered, like, we'll get 30 restraints,
Yeah.
delivered at one time. So then it's, like, sitting there and, like, "Okay, put the next
Which
one
one
on.
feels
Okay."
right? Which one right, right. And
I
you're like, "Wait, which one was 3 pairs ago?"
I do a lot of, voice notes because, of course, like, we wanna have a good time, but we
Right.
definitely have to differentiate between, "Okay, this is a product testing night," or "This
Right.
is just a us time night,"
Yeah.
and then sometimes, of course, because I can't turn my brain off, this actually just happened the other night where I was like, "I really just need to shut my brain off." Like, let's just go in the bedroom, and we did some spanking because that really helps me, like, just kind of get into a different headspace, and we're having a great time, just doing, us things, and
Yeah.
then I was like, "Oh, wait, I have these, like, 3 clit suckers that we need to test really quick," and so I, like, grab them, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, no, I'm supposed to be turning off my brain. Hold on, let's just put those back. Well, actually, since we're already here,
Right.
let's
Right.
let's just bring them out." Um
Uh,
and so I've been the main product tester for basically 2 years
okay.
for them, and so any product that you are sent through Aria, anything through the monthly scenes, or we have, like, a marketplace, has been through my home.
I love
And
that
I
for
have
you.
and I have tested how amazing, and so, of course, that helps me write because
Yeah.
everything sex toys can sometimes be a little tricky, or, like, you get
Mhm.
something and you don't. I have more times than not have had something, like, show up, and I'm like, "I don't know what this is." And, like, if I don't know what it is, and
Right.
I've tested at this point over 1,000 different sex toy items, then, like, I can't expect an everyday user to know what it is.
Right.
And so it definitely helps. But now I'm still we're still the main product testers, but I do run a small product testing cohort with some of our
Okay.
legacy couples. So it is nice
Yeah.
to offload a teeny bit.
Yeah.
But also I don't want to, like, overwhelm them either because I still want their sex lives to be amazing. Like,
Right.
that's not their job. Like, it's my job
Right.
to test
Right.
all these
Right.
things.
Yeah.
I still want them to have fun.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a balance, but sometimes I will say last week it exploded in here. I mean, I received an overwhelming amount of products. So generally what we'll do is we'll set aside like a weekend. Like the kid will go to grandma's and I'll be like, "All right, Saturday, you're mine." And all of these
Yeah.
items, but
Yeah.
it's a ton of fun. And now I gift a lot of sex toys,
Okay.
so people like to invite me to things sometimes
Yeah.
because they know they're gonna. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to where if we've decided on an item, I won't just get one, I'll get every single color because we're,
Okay.
like, thinking the
Yeah.
aesthetics and stuff, so it's
Yeah.
like, well,
That's
so
amazing.
I try to
Yeah.
I try to pass along
That's
the
great.
nice
Yeah, I've
things.
done that too when I've gotten samples of different things and they'll send me like one for my office and one for home and I was like,
Yes.
well, I don't need one,
Mhm.
I don't need to keep all of them. So
Right?
I've shared. Yeah.
I literally physically can't. I
Right.
can't.
Right. Yeah.
I will drown in this office.
Yeah. So let's go through a couple different types of kinks and maybe you can share some of either your favorite products or a storyline a scene to go through or something. Talk to me first about impact play.
Impact play. Impact play is my, like, forever headspace. I'm
Okay.
a big fan of maintenance spanking. I don't know
Okay.
if so maintenance spanking, for those of you that don't know, is if you love impact play and it really puts your headspace into this kind of blissful existential existence. So as the receiver and sometimes as a giver too, when all you're focusing on is the mix of that pain and pleasure and it's not about, hurting you or like making you bleed or pushing you to your extreme.
Mhm.
It's a nice comforting like rhythm. It turns my brain off and it
Hmm.
just puts me in this euphoric state. And so sometimes when I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed with everyday life, I need just a maintenance spanking,
Okay.
which is like, give me like 10 to 15 very nice, very regular. There's nothing behind it other than like, I need to turn off my brain for a second.
Yeah.
And so for Impact, we do have a scene called Impact where we will walk people through like everything you need to know because again, impact can mean so many different things to different
Yeah.
people. and some prefer, the nice hand. I like items. So I like a really wide paddle, kind of a ping
Okay.
pong style paddle.
Yeah.
They look scarier than what they are. They're more thud. So if you
Mhm.
are exploring impact, you're going to find that you either like thud or you like sting.
Okay.
And those are two different types of impact feelings. So I'm a thud girly. I like a thud. A sting, I can kind of ration those. Like you can't give me, so a sting would come from something like a riding crop or a
Mm.
whip or like a cane.
Yeah.
It's maybe a flogger that's a little bit heavier, you'll get
Okay.
a sting. Whereas,
Mhm.
like a thud, you're gonna get more from, like, the palm of the hand, a nice paddle,
Okay.
something a little bit wider.
Mhm.
You
Where
can
it's
get
gonna hit a broader area.
a broader area,
Mhm.
a leather, like a nice leather or suede flogger will give you
Mm.
that thud, whereas
Mhm.
something like, a metal flogger or something with the little skinnier, like, things at the end
Yeah.
will give you that, like, sting.
Yeah.
So I love thud, but what I've discovered is I need a nice cadence of, like,
Mm.
thud, thud, caress, thud,
Okay.
thud, massage, thud, thud, like, soft
Yeah.
texture. And so I like to combine impact play and sensory play,
Okay.
where I get, like,
Yeah,
a
I mean,
soft.
that makes sense, right? And especially to like you said, play with it because
Yes,
you might not know that you need the caress in between,
yes,
or you might not know that you like sting versus thud or thud versus sting, or maybe you like a couple of thuds and then a sting or whatever.
yes,
So you do have to play with this and figure it
you
out
do.
and see.
You do, and communicate and tell your
Yes.
partner.
And
I
consent.
love that when you did it 3 times, 4
Right.
times was one too much,
Yeah.
and it's so important to tell them because again and to test it on yourself, so if you're gonna be the
Yeah.
giver, you need to make sure you're kinda testing that implement and seeing what your, percentage of kind of give is, so when my husband and I are doing this, he'll kinda talk in percentages, so he'll be like, "That I just gave you 25%. Can you maybe take a little bit higher? Do we need to go lower?" And that's really
Okay.
helpful for me to gauge as well because it may
Yeah.
not be like a hard, "No, I don't like that sensation." It's I do like that sensation, I just needed it a little bit lighter than what the
Yeah.
last one was. So I think percentages are a really easy way to quantify that, like, in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That makes sense to me. Or a 1 to 10 scale or something to that
Mhm.
degree, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. What do you think about temperature play? That's very interesting to me.
It is. It is. I will say, I was not a temperature play person. Dripping wax candle on me kinda stresses me out.
Yeah.
I don't care for it, but I do like cold play.
Okay.
Which surprised me because I love heat more than like, I
Mhm.
don't like being cold. I almost always have a
Yeah.
heater around me, blankets. I'm in a cardigan right now. Like, I like
Yeah.
warmth but I like cold sensations.
Mm.
So, for instance, we were sent like a dozen metal flogger prototypes to test out.
Okay.
And one of them we tested with, like, a temperature plate, so we actually threw the metal flogger in the fridge, and then I
Mm.
laid down on my stomach, and he just kind of, caressed it down my spine once it was
Yeah.
chilled, and that was amazing. It was
Hmm.
like icy waterfalls, like, cascading down my
Okay.
back, and I love that, and I've also discovered that I really like a glass dildo
Okay.
that's been chilled a little bit and, touching it to the different things. And so temperature but the thing that I have discovered with my temperature play is for heat, we'll skip
Mhm.
the candle wax, but give me like a warming massage and then cool me down with the metal
Okay.
floss. And
Yeah.
that is my take on and so, I'll talk to somebody, ever so often who will be like, "Well, I don't like temperature play because I don't like candles." I'm like, "Well,
Mm.
you don't have to use a candle to
Right.
there's so much more temperature than
Yeah, absolutely.
an extra spicy temperature is to play around with any of those, like, cinnamon-based balms.
Mm.
and so you get that heat.
Yeah.
So a lot of arousal, like clit arousal balms will have those kind of warming,
Mhm.
and those feel great on, like, nipples, they feel great for anal play, so
Okay.
there's so much to temperature play that if you're
Yeah.
not a single person, don't nix it completely, just
Right.
figure
Right.
temperature works for you.
Yeah, I am not a cold, like, I get, like, angry when someone touches me with a cold soda or ice or something, like, I actually get angry about it. So, like, that is not a temperature that I can play with and feel sexy because I will wanna punch you in the face.
Yes, no
But
cold metal
no
longer for
cold play for
you.
me. No cold play. Do not throw a ice bucket at me. It will not end well. Okay. But I like warmth. And now I don't want, like you said, the hot wax is going to stress me out because if it is it too hot, am I going to burn? Am I going to whatever?
Yeah,
But warmth and that sensualness of the warmth is really sexy to me. I
yeah.
love that.
Do you ever play with, like mittens, like fur mittens, and kind of
Ooh, I
warm
have
'em up
not.
a teeny bit? So there's an
Okay.
amazing sensation play company called
Okay.
Lit Love, I think is their website, and they are only sensory play, like,
Ooh,
that is
interesting.
their jam, and they have these, like, full mittens that look a bit funny, um, but
I wish you
I
guys could
have
see her right now if you're listening to this. She has her hands up like she's
I have
wearing
my
mittens.
hands
It's
up.
a lovely. Put your mittens on.
I wish I wish I had 'em handy. And what we've done is stuck them underneath, like, a heating pad to
Okay.
kind of prep them, and then my husband has put them on and, like, rubbed my whole body with these
Oh,
heated mittens,
that sounds
and,
amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
It's
Like,
so
I
nice.
love being cozy and warm and all of those things, and cold is not my jam, so I could
Mhm.
totally get behind some warm, fuzzy mittens.
Yes,
I'm gonna put
caress
that on
all
my
over your
to-do
naked
list.
body.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
so nice.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. But you're right. There's so many different things for temperature play. And, back to the pervertibles. An ice cream scooper, put that in the freezer for a little while. It's metal, a metal one. And it's got the soft and hard and cold. There's so
Mhm.
many different things that you can try at home
Yes.
before you go and spend the money on, the fancier toys and things like that.
Yeah,
'Cause otherwise you go and get this metal flogger, you throw it in there, and now you're like, "Great, I just spent $50 and I hate it." Like,
I hate it, yes. One
Yeah, so
one of my favorite Coldplay things, getting back to ice cream, is
yeah.
actually giving, like, an ice cream blowjob, where
Ooh,
you scoop a little ice cream in your mouth and you, like, suckle the balls a teeny bit, or you, like,
yeah.
drop a little bit on the kind of the base because you don't want it near the tip or, the head,
Yeah,
but kind of the base, and you can eat ice cream off of them, and, it's a win-win, really, for everybody,
yeah.
and
This may be
it's
my favorite interview ever because of that tip. I love ice cream.
yes, ice cream blowjob.
Yeah,
Get yourself
I
one.
love it.
It's great.
Great. Every time I go to my boyfriend's house now, there's gonna be plenty of ice cream in the freezer.
It's very nice.
Yes, I love that, I love that. What's another type of scene that you have kind of worked with some different toys that we could recommend to people?
Ooh, so restraint play is, of
Okay.
course, one of the
Yeah.
top. Restraint play is one of the top, I would say, kinks that
Mhm.
people are interested in.
Yeah.
I think it's the most beginner friendly,
Mhm.
because you're not really, having to deal with the pain, pleasure. You don't have a bunch of
Right.
mess or things like you're gonna need for temperature play. And so restraint play, and you don't need items. You don't need to
Mhm.
go out and buy yourself a whole bondage kit, or cuffs. And please, please never buy metal. Don't buy
No,
metal
God, no.
handcuffs.
Please
Not
don't.
unless that is something that you are both super into. You will bruise the
Yep.
crap out of
You're gonna lose
yourself.
the key and not be able to get out of
Oh,
them.
you'll lose. They're not sexy in any sort of way. And
No.
so but you can find, if your partner has to wear a tie for work,
Mhm.
so ties are great, scarves,
Mhm.
any sort of ribbon, you can get ribbon, like, those, like, wide, like, 3 to 5-inch
Yep.
wide satin ribbons from the craft store.
Mhm.
Get those. You can easily tie up a wrist, you can tie up
Yep.
ankles, you can tie somebody to a chair.
Mhm.
One item that we love, and I have been trying to, like I was pushing the content team, like, "We need this item," but it's not a sexy item, which is that craft Saran wrap that you can get.
Yeah.
So those big spools of, like, craft, there's so much you can do. You can quickly bind a whole person's
Yeah.
body with this, like, spool of Saran wrap that
Right.
you get from the craft store, and it's so easy to cut out, and it's
Mhm.
like $10 for this
Yeah.
giant spool that you'll never run out of, and you can use it again, you can bind up the whole legs as quickly as possible. You can do the arms, you can do arms,
Mhm.
2 legs, create your little own little hog tie
Uh-huh.
situation. You can do, if you are both consenting to it, do some breath play with it. You gotta be really careful. You gotta make sure, I always have to plug, if you're gonna do any sort of breath play, to have your nonverbal safe words ready.
Yeah.
So you may not be able to actually say, like, pineapple during your scene. And so you need to have, like, a tapping system or, like, holding up a hand or something that they would know that, like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we're done."
Yeah.
But that craft wrap is
That's
just
fun.
it's phenomenal.
I love
It's
that
really
tip.
close to bondage tape, so bondage tape is pretty popular.
Okay.
Um, 'Cause it doesn't stick to you, it sticks to itself, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing.
Kind of like in my medical world, like Coban, like when you go get your blood drawn and they wrap that around your yeah, similar to that,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and it's cheap, it's easy, you don't care if you have to cut it all up to get it off
Right.
you quickly,
Yeah.
and it's such a nice way to explore if you're into restraint play,
Mhm.
and of course, just holding your partner in
Yeah.
position, so, like, pinning down arms, pinning down
Mhm.
legs, or telling them to hold themselves. Oh,
Yeah.
that is definitely sexy. If,
Yes.
your partner tells you, "Hold your arms, like, above your head and don't move them. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to move them. That is both psychological and a form of restraint play.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and the other cool thing about bondage is it can be as minimalist as me holding your wrists or you holding your own wrists, or all the way through to some crazy ass rope play where you are in
Yes.
amazing positions and
Mhm.
anywhere in between. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. Like you said, you don't have to go get this major bondage kit. You don't have to use the handcuffs and the ankle cuffs and all this to feel like you've hit the mark with bondage. Like there really are so many various ways. And again, then the aftercare comes in. Did you
Yes.
like this? Was this too much? Was this not enough? All of these things, because it really makes a difference if you have kind of a forced pleasure situation with the bondage and I'm going to give you orgasms till you literally tap out, you know.
Sign me up.
Right, exactly. I love it when I get to tap out. Like, okay, I literally need to catch my breath. My heart rate is really high right now. Give me a second. And so I think it's great to have those moments of, hey, we tried this. This worked really great. This wasn't so great. Or I really liked being restrained that way, but not with this particular type of restraint. Let's find
Yes.
something different. I need a different feeling. I didn't like that rope, but maybe a silk tie would be better or something along those lines.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Rope play is a lot of fun,
Mhm.
and for those who have the patience
Yeah.
for, a shibari practice or a rope artistry and really wanna dive into just making your partner this beautiful knot,
Mhm.
masterpiece. There's so much, like, sensuality that goes into it and just feeling like the slither of
Mhm.
a, like, cotton or jute rope just, like, going across your body as they just really take the time and care. It's very caregiving,
Yeah.
in my opinion, the tying, the very slow tying.
Mhm.
And there's something really beautiful about that. And one thing I love about restraint play is you don't need to make it like sexual all the time.
Mhm.
Sometimes just the act of restraining and having that sort of power dynamic, you don't actually need to then like move into an actual like penetrative act or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos if you want to, that's amazing.
Right.
One thing I always like to promote is like penetration isn't the end all be all. And
Yes.
you can have all of these sexual experiences and exploration without actually having quote unquote, sex. To me, that's all part of the sex. Like
Right. Right. And if
all of
you
that.
don't if you
is part
don't
of it.
reach orgasm, that doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad session. That's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
There are other ways of feeling pleasure and experiencing pleasure with your partner than climax. And it's
Yeah.
great. And I agree. It does not always have to be P and V or P and A. It just doesn't.
P&M.
P&M, whatever. There does not need to be penetration period all the time. You can have whatever you want. And I love that. Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
So I love, do you remember there was a movie, The Ugly Truth,
Yeah.
and Kristen Heigl was in it, and she had the panties and they had the remote at a restaurant. Okay, so
Mhm.
I've always thought that would be super fun to try and be at a restaurant and have something like that where my partner has okay, do you have any tips or tricks or toys that you recommend for that?
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so I have a couple. So if you don't want something that actually penetrates you,
Mhm.
for myself, I had a kid, I've had like a partial hysterectomy, I've had a little bit of trauma down there.
Yeah.
And so I don't always want something like just hanging out
Yeah.
inside of me.
Yeah.
And so I like a panty vibe.
Okay.
Where it's actually just placed. You've gotta wear panties, though. That's the
Yeah.
caveat. You have to wear panties to have this panty vibe stick
Yes.
into place, and so there's this amazing mother-daughter company called Like a Kitten,
Okay.
and they have a vibe called Shell Yeah, which just
I love
cracks me
it.
up, and it's a panty vibe, and it's a remote
Okay.
controlled panty vibe, and it's shaped like a little tiny purple shell, and so it
Okay.
really just cups you so
Okay.
nicely, and your partner gets the remote, and so that's my favorite for that. Now, if
Okay.
you want, something up there, kind of maybe pushing up against your G spot and like that kind of full feeling,
Yeah.
Lush has an amazing or Lovense. It's called Lush by
Okay.
Lovense,
Got it.
and that is an amazing remote vibe.
Okay.
I will say before you take it out into the public,
Mhm.
play around the house with it. So one thing I like to do is like chore play.
Okay.
So, while we're just having kind of a Saturday chore day, put on a panty vibe or put in like, a little
Yeah.
remote vibe and make that kind of an added spicy game
I
to
love that.
sweeping and vacuuming and
Right? Right?
laundry and make sure you're kind of comfortable with it before
Yeah.
going out because especially if you're going out on a date and you're like, you've paid money to be out and
Yeah.
you've dressed up, you've put a lot of effort into it. You just wouldn't want the mood to get hindered by something that all of a sudden you're like, I'm actually not comfortable with this at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that
so
makes
definitely
sense.
test it at home with a little bit of foreplay. I'm a big fan of just spicing up things outside of the bedroom, but are still within the home because we spend most
Yeah.
of our times within our home. So
Yes.
and we tend to fall into, like, roommate status, and so
Yeah.
we gotta find creative ways to make the home spicy because we don't always have, like, the time or resources to make, like, it a huge out of the house date night all the
Right.
time, so,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
those are my two favorite, the Shelia
All
by Like
right.
a Kitten and the Lush by Lovense.
Excellent. I've written that down while we've been talking, so I will go on looking on that on Amazon or wherever online where as soon as we're done.
I love Like a Kitten, by the
Yeah.
way. I just discovered them a few months ago, and quite a few of their items have actually made it to my bedside table, and not
Okay.
every item I test makes it to my bedside table.
Yeah.
It has to
Well, you'd have to have a very large table.
yes, yes, exactly. We have to be choosy. Only the
Yes.
best of the best
Right.
hit that and get to be a regular.
Yes. Okay, one more before we wrap up for today. Lubes. What are some of your favorite lubes without toys? And then what are some of your favorite lubes for with toys?
Okay, so, my favorite lube of all time, it is a silicone though, is
Okay.
Uberlube.
Okay.
Uberlube is just I carry samples of it in my
Yeah.
purse, I hand it out to strangers. I I it's the best.
Hi, you look really pretty today. Do you want some lube?
Yeah, I handed it out I fly quite a bit, and so, like, sometimes, you chat with your person sitting next to you, and
Yeah.
then sometimes they're super interested, and I'm like, "Oh, I got this lube. Would you like a lube?" So Uber Lube is my go-to, all the time, but it is a silicone base. Now it's a
Mhm.
very premium silicone base, it's medical
Okay.
grade, um, but you have to be careful with your silicone toys,
Yep.
obviously, when you're using a silicone because they can erode each other,
Yes.
especially, if you do it a lot of prolonged. And then for my water-based
Mhm.
lube, I'm trying to think of what we've been using Pure
Okay.
lately. And I will say both of our bedside tables are just littered with lubes.
Yeah.
So that's been my go-to water-based is just the
Okay.
Pure Infinity water-based lube. Now, I had a awakening, a sexual awakening when I got introduced to CBD lubes. I don't
Ooh.
know if you have ever used a CBD lube.
I have not yet.
Oh my god.
I say yet
So,
though, because now you got my brain going.
I honestly thought they would be kind of gimmicky.
Mhm.
I didn't really set too much at store with that. I was like, "How could it be much different than any other lube?" It's a game changer. There's
Interesting.
this brand, Foria
Mhm.
Wellness, and they have all sorts of CBD products, and they have these suppository inserts
Okay.
that are a lube, but they melt inside of you as well with CBD, and I've been using their Booty Melt, and
Hmm.
if you're an anal lover or intro to anal, you should be putting CBD up your booty
Okay.
because it's all the pleasure and none of the pain. It is
Love that.
amazing to me. And like, I love anal play. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things. And so I didn't have any complaints prior to using
Mhm.
CBD, and the CBD has been an amazing game changer. So get yourself a CBD lube for you. For both anal or they have arousal serums, they have
Mhm.
lubes. Like it's amazing.
Okay.
And then for flavored lube, because I love a flavored lube, and I've tested more flavored lubes than anybody should ingest. And so, honestly, the best flavored lube is Sliquid Cherry Vanilla.
Okay.
Sliquid is an amazing lube company overall. Like,
Okay.
they have amazing lubes. Any Sliquid I've ever been sent, I was never disappointed ever.
Okay.
But their cherry vanilla just makes oral so much better. It's so nice. And
Nice.
so especially for anybody out there that might struggle with
Mhm.
oral because, they've got some taste triggers or,
Yeah.
however, get yourself a good flavored lube. Like, please
Yep.
don't pick up like a KY
Yes.
flavored lube. Get yourself like a Sliquid cherry vanilla and you'll have a great time with that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so because I'm a urologist, I have to say if you get recurrent UTIs, please talk to
Yes.
your urologist. Use your water-based lube. Be very careful with what you use that can throw off your pH. Make sure they are good quality lubes.
Oh,
And if
yes.
you have issues, just like try one for a
Mhm.
while till you know whether or not it works for you and then try something else. Don't be rapid fire trying a bunch of different lubes.
Yes, please. I'm a chronic, like, BV sufferer,
Yeah.
and so I have to be super particular about whatever I'm putting down there,
Good.
and everything I just listed, I will say personally, I've never
Yeah.
been triggered by,
Good.
but it's so important
Yeah.
to really look at the ingredients too and
Yeah,
see.
and that's not to say that all water-based are great because some of the water-based have a bunch of different stuff in them too.
Yes.
So, definitely do your research, make sure that it's a good quality brand. Make sure you can read what the actual ingredients are and
Yes.
that they're not crazy long words that you have no idea what they mean because then that probably means it's a chemical you should not have inside of you.
Oh, yeah. Pure I will
Yeah.
say Pure's been around for a really long time. It's a German-based company. They
Okay.
are well renowned in the space.
Yeah.
And
I
so
like European-based companies. I
I do
think
too.
they have higher regulations than we do. They're more
Yes.
pure products. That was
I
not a play on pure, but they're really good
really are.
quality products.
I remember I had talked to a sex toy I was at, like, a sex toy shop, and I had asked about a lube I had heard about. I don't remember what it was called, and I was like, "Do you guys carry that?" Because I just kinda heard of it. And she
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, we don't carry anything that Europe won't carry, and they won't carry
Huh.
that lube." And I was like, "That's a good rule of thumb."
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
So
Yes.
now that's what
Very
I base
cool.
all my lube decisions on.
Yeah.
Anything that Europe will carry, I will
Yeah.
I will use.
I love that. Awesome. This was such a fun conversation today. I could talk to you for hours. This is amazing. So,
Same.
anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
Just find me on Instagram. I'm Athena, Athena_Gayle, Gayle. I sometimes have a LinkedIn when they aren't kicking me off. And then I
Yes.
am in the middle of a complete website rebuild. So,
Okay.
depending on when you listen and when you discover me, I may have an amazing website or it could still be kind of garbage. So, Instagram is
Yes.
the best place to find me right now and kind of
Perfect.
see what I'm doing.
Awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes. We'll put your
Awesome.
website in there so people can check on that as well. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. All right, everybody, go have a great week and have some fun between the sheets. Thank you for joining us and exploring sexual health topics here on Between the Sheets. New episodes are available every Wednesday. Please subscribe and rate our podcast so we can reach more listeners. And don't forget to tell your friends, partners, and anyone who will listen about Between the Sheets. Send any comments, questions, or stories to podcastbetweenthe_sheets@gmail.com. It's all one word, podcastbetweenthe_sheets@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and go have some fun between the sheets.